Hello everyone, how are you guys doing? Hope you all stay safe, stay healthy, and of course, stay at home. And of course, welcome back to my video. In this one video, I will explain to you guys about the demonstrating the teaching of grammar to my students. So I have three teaching objectives of this module. The first one is my students have the ability to communicate effectively in both spoken and written in standard English. The second one is the student will complete the school with the ability to analyze the grammatical structure of the sentence within English text using grammatical terminology correctly and demonstrating knowledge of how sentence level grammatical structure contributes to the coherence paragraph and the text. And the third one is my students have an understanding and appreciation for the natural variation that occurs in language across time, social situation, and social group. And of course, because they can using the grammar correctly, because it is useful for their daily life when they are speaking English. And for my students English level, I choose intermediate level students. For my teaching technique, I have selected from the third article, that is pair counting to improve grammar and spoken fluency by Stephanie Hansen. So why I choose this one for my teaching technique? Because I think this is the simple way, but still an accurate technique that I can apply to my students, so that my students can understand and remember the subjects that I will teach to them. When I start the class, I will ask my students to prepare their paper and pencil or blue pen, because we need that to do something, to do an activity with the grammar that I will teach to them. I will start explain the activity to the class and spend a few minutes to doing a practice to my students, so that it can help my students understand what are they going to do. So the practice is like, I will talk to my students for around 1 minute. The particular things I will talk to them is like, for example, I will talk to them about my daily activity that I'm doing in my house. And then after I talk to them for around 1 minute, I during the time I put some simple past verb in my story, and then after that I will ask my student to count how many times or how many simple past verb they heard from my story. The example, a story that I will tell to my student is like, I met my friend for a tea on Saturday morning. Then I drove home and cooked lunch. And then I cleaned my apartment, and then blah 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 blah. I see my students answer, and I think I will review the simple past verb that I have said, like met, went, drove, cook, and the others simple past verb that I have said in my story. And the next activity I will apply to my students is make them into a pairs. So one student can be the counter and the one student can be the talker. I apply this way for an exercise to my student, and or maybe it's like an assignment to my students. And then I will ask the talkers to explain, like I will give for the talkers a particular question like what did you do last week, and the talkers have to explain their story, and they have to use as many simple past verb as possible when they describe or tell their story. And during the explanation by the talker, the counter will count how many simple past verb did the talkers have said. And when the first round is finished, I will try to check the students' works for how many simple past verb they have counted from the explanation by their friends of talkers. After the first round is finished, I will give them the second chance or the second round, but I will ask them, please try to increase the number of the simple past verb that they are using when they tell their story. The second round is more challenging than the first round because I will ask the talkers, they have to talk a little faster and use a few more verbs, more than how many simple past verb they already use in the first round. Yeah, I think this technique is good for me to apply to my student because this is the easiest way to make my students understand easily and remember the grammar or the examples of the grammar of simple past verb and what kind of words that include the simple past verb. And also because I think it will keep all my students actively engaged. Half of the student must talk and the other students must count. And all of them are focusing on a specific grammatical form at the same time. And after the class is over, I think me as a teacher, I will give my students an homework, but the homework is doing same as well as what we have done in class. But the difference is the students will doing the assignment by him or herself, not doing in a group or in a pairs like that. I will ask my student to make a recording of themselves talking for the same 1 minute, and then they should listen to the recording and also count the numbers of grammatical structures or the same simple past verb they said correctly. Okay guys, so I think that's all my explanation of my teaching technique that I can or I will apply to my students in my class of teaching grammar. Okay, so that's all from me and see you next time or maybe see you in the next video. Bye bye.